Hey guys, Rico from Meadery. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be racking our mead. And now what racking essentially means is moving your brew or your mead from one vessel to another. Now the reason why you rack is because after every fermentation phase, or every phase that you rack, you're going to have sediment at the bottom. The first phase is the worst phase and it decreases, so on and so on. Today we're racking from a fermentation bucket into 2 1-gallon glass carboys. Now if you saw my last video, Simple Mead, we made mead in a 1-gallon plastic jug. So once that's done fermenting, I'll move it into here. So going back to the reason why, so the sediment, the dyed yeast, once it's done fermenting and doing its thing, it's going to fall down to the bottom. Now once it falls down to the bottom, you don't want that in your mead. So when you rack it out, you separate the good mead from the sediment. So that's what we're essentially going to be doing today. There's no number of amounts that you have to rack during your mead brewing process. There's no set in stone amounts. Depending on what you're making or the recipe, in my eyes, depends on how many times you should rack and clarity and all that stuff. So today we're going to be doing an orange blossom with oranges. So I'll probably rack this a few times before I bottle it. The equipment you're going to need, your from vessel to your tube vessel, and then a racking cane or a siphoning tube. What I have here is a racking cane. Here's the tube, the cane itself, the siphoning tube, and a little clip that's like a stopper. You can get this at any homebrew store. I got mine on Amazon. They're fairly cheap, and they definitely help out. This is the best way, the sanitized way, because if you do it with your mouth, and they can get in your mouth, you can mess up your meat or get your meat nasty or whatever. So I suggest going and buying these. They come in different sizes. This is a 1-gallon one, I believe. And they have 5-gallon ones and stuff like that. So you need that. You also need a stopper for your second fermentation, just because once you rack it over, it still could start fermenting. There's still yeast that's going to go in there, and they could start back up again, reactivate it. So you need a stopper, and of course, a glass. Alright, so I've adjusted everything so that way you guys can see everything. I took the lid off of our fermentation bucket, and it smells pretty amazing. I have our 2 1-gallon glass carboys here, and then our racking cane. Now you need to use physics in this. You need to have your front vessel higher than your tube vessel. Obviously, we're siphoning stuff. Cane placement also is key. You want it roughly about an inch above the bottom, just because you don't want to dig it into that sediment that you're trying to get rid of. And then your tube as well. You want the tube all the way at the bottom. You don't want it from the top, because then you'll start splashing and adding bubbles. So put the cane into the tube. Let's get the tube down into the carboy, like such. And I'm going to go down. Sometimes I use a flashlight so I make sure I don't hit the bottom. Make sure I'm above the bottom. And then you give it a pump. As you can see, there it goes. Racking is fairly simple. Fairly simple, just because I'm getting some bubbles in there. There we go. Back it out. It's really simple. I mean, make sure your stuff's sanitized. Make sure you're off the sediment. Make sure your tube isn't above, so it's making bubbles and stuff. And then you sit and wait. Oh, and make sure that your front vessel is higher than your tube vessel. And then you sit and wait. And then once this one's done, I don't plan on back sweetening these. I'm going to taste after this, just to see if I need to. So the first one's just going to be how it is, whether it's a bitter mead or a sweet mead. I think it's going to be a sweet mead. I tasted it before when I first made it, before the alcohol and everything, and it was really sweet, really good. So I'm hoping it's going to be the same. But I'm going to fill this one up to the 1-gallon mark right here. You guys can't see, but leave a little space for head. But once it's done, yeah, I'm going to stop this, I'm going to give it a little taste, and then if this one needs to be back sweetened, then I'm only going to fill it up so high, just so when you back sweeten, of course you're going to back sweeten with water and honey. And when you do that, you just want to slowly do it, and then keep tasting to your liking or whatever, so you know how good it's going to be. Now we are almost there. If you haven't seen my Simple Mead video, go check it out. Please subscribe. Please ask questions. Give me critiques. I'm no professional. I'm just trying to get to that point. So if you have any questions, comments, please leave them. Like the video, go check out Simple Mead. It's a quick, easy way to make mead. It's traditional. Like I said, this one is orange blossom honey. It's about 3.5 orange blossom honey and 3 oranges and 30 raisins. I like to use raisins as the yeast nutrient just because it's a little more organic. But I would say that is good right there. I'm gonna close this off. Keep this right here, prop it up. That way it doesn't fall into the sediment. So I filled the first one to the top. I poured a little into a glass. You can't really see it from where you are, and the videos will get better quality. But it's still pretty foggy. It's not extremely sweet, but it's not too dry, and it's perfect. And this is only 2 months. It's only 2 months, so I say I'm going to keep the other one exactly the same. If you can see from where you are, it's got a good color. It's still pretty foggy, but I mean, it's fairly new. So as time goes, the fog is going to decrease and it's going to clarify and everything. So I'm going to fill the second one up to be to the max. And then... Alright, so unfortunately the second one didn't fill up to the max. I was getting close to the bottom. I didn't want too much sediment. And as you can see, the first one is clearer than the second one. It's just because this was the first one that we siphoned from the rack. Got closer to the bottom on the second one, so there's more sediment in there, so it's a little foggy. So what I can do is I can go back and make this sweeter. Like I said, it's not bad, it's not dry, but it's not too sweet. I wanted it a little sweeter. That's my taste. But for this one, it's done. So, well, it's done in this phase. So we're gonna let it bulk age for a few months before we maybe rack it again or bottle it. So now we throw an airlock on it. Now you can use any airlock that you want, or you can go back to my video if you saw a Simple Mead and use a balloon with a hole in it. And the reason why you put an airlock on it and not just a stopper is just because after you rack it, you could reactivate the yeast and it could start fermenting again. So I'm going to put an airlock on this, and then I'm going to make a video on how to back sweeten. Alright, thanks for watching. Once again, subscribe, put any comments, critiques, what you liked, what you didn't like, what I did wrong, or what you think I did wrong. Yeah, and then I'll keep making some more videos. Alright, thanks for watching.